left, I'll never be alone. 'Cause you bought me with the price, called me your own. You are the strength that I need. You are the one that I see. And I will never forget the price that you have paid. Love me like you gave to me. You are my God, the one and only. And I'll follow you for all my days. With all I have, all I am, and all I do, I live for you. You are the light that leads the way, and I'm drawing closer to you every single day. Your love is life, I'll never be alone. 'Cause you bought me with the price, called me your own. You are the strength that I need. You are the one that I see. And I will never forget the price that you have paid. You love me like you gave to me. You are my God, the one and only. And I'll follow you for all my days. With all I have, with all I am, and all I do, I live for you. You are my God, the one and only. Now follow you for all my days. With all I have, with all I am, and all I do, I live for you. You are my God, the one and only. Now follow you for all my days. With all I have, all I am, and all I do, I live for you. You are the light that leads the way, and I'm drawing closer to you every single day. Your life is love, I'll never be alone. 'Cause you bought me with the price, called me your own. You are the strength that I need. You are the one that I see. And I will never forget the price that you have paid. Love me like you gave to me. You are my God, the one and only. And I'll follow you for all my days. With all I have, with all I am, and all I do, I live for you.
It is Labor Day in the United States, and hopefully you are enjoying your day off today as we are here for another Expanding Your Search and Stopping for Directions podcast. Hi, everybody. It's Brent Bailey, and I hope that you are enjoying yourself today. Those of you who are lucky enough to have the day off and actually do some celebrating, some backyard barbecuing, some swimming, and maybe those of you who live in Florida are at the beaches today. Wherever you are, I just hope you're having a great Labor Day. We are ourselves. We had a great celebration with my parents on Friday for their 50th anniversary, and man, it was just a wonderful time. A great celebration. Lots of people. We were outside. It was a great socially distanced 50th anniversary party, and so we're so grateful for that and for you. So anyway, I'm joined over at the desk right now by Jody and Luke, and guys, let's get this party started, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
All right, so as we jump into things today, there is a lot going on
There
in the
is.
country. Good Lord. It is Labor Day, and of course it is a holiday. We'll get to that in just a second, but let's talk about all the other national days that fall on this day. I mean, just a ton of them.
Yeah, and let's talk about, today is National Neither Snow Nor Rain Day. Now, when I first read that, I'm like, well, I guess it's not going to snow or rain. But do you know what it means? Do you know what it's related to?
I'm gonna guess it has something to do with the mail.
It does.
Yeah.
So neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom
Yeah.
of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their
Shall
appointed
any evil escape my sight? Green lanterns, is that what the same thing, right?
So
That's the
I
same
think-
quote, right?
So the
Maybe.
United States Post Office is a cover for
the Green Lantern Corps, yeah.
Ooh,
Right?
cool.
Isn't that their?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It sounds like it. What you were just reading there. Read it again. Read it again.
Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds.
All right, I'm looking it up. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, that it stops there.
All right, so that's okay. That's pretty good. Let me see if I can find it here.
The Green Lantern one?
Green Lantern's his oath that he took. It sounds very. Here it is, right here. All right, read yours one more time. This is the national motto of the mail carriers.
Okay,
right?
neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stays these couriers from the swift completion of their appointed rounds.
All right.
Let's read Green.
Here's Green Lantern's oath. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. I think that
it's
whoever
similar, yeah.
whoever discovered this worked for the mail office.
Yeah.
Whoever created Green Lantern.
Probably. So, but what's good is it's Labor Day, and there's no mail delivered on Labor Day.
That's right. So,
And so
it's
they have
their
a day
day
off.
to take the day off. So
It's-
we
yeah.
appreciate the mail
Yes,
service.
we
do
do.
appreciate the mail service. Thank you so much for your countless hours and right through COVID and everything. You
Yeah.
guys were more
See,
busy than everything.
I thought Labor Day was like the day you're supposed to like get all your house chores done, right?
Yes,
yeah,
you're supposed to
probably.
labor.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I
We'll
don't-
get to Labor Day in just a second.
Yeah.
It's also National Beer Lovers
Beer
Day.
Lovers Day. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
We have a few folks we could call out right now. and
We
say,
do, but we're
I know
not
you're
going
celebrating,
to.
but we're not going to. So, National Beer Lovers Day, those who do love, I guess, any excuse in the world, and we don't really condone or bash.
Yeah.
We're just kind of neutral in
Right.
the whole thing. So,
Yeah.
all right. What else?
National Grandma Moses Day.
Who's Grandma Moses? Let's talk
Grandma
about her.
Moses. She was a talented artist, and her name was Anna Marie Robertson Moses. She was born September 7th, 1860, and died December 13th, 1961. But
101 years old.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
she serves as an inspiration to those who start a career late in life. So she started her career at an advanced age. I mean, became an artist at an advanced age. I'm trying
Bravo.
to see how old
Pretty
she
cool.
was, but yeah.
Well, she lived to be 101, so
Yeah.
that's
It says
no
she
small feat in
picked
itself.
up painting in her 70s.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
Yeah.
Well, happy Grandma Moses Day. It's also National Acorn Squash Day.
Acorn squash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's a made up one, I think.
I
I
think
think
it
all
is,
these are
too.
made up. But I mean,
That's
they're just pushing.
That's big vegetable just trying to trick us into eating more vegetables.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what it is.
exactly. National Salami Day. I mean, again.
I'm not going to say anything.
No, let's move on. Now,
I like it though. I mean,
I
it's
like
good.
salami.
I do too.
Get some crackers and some cheese.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's how you observe it.
Okay.
Okay. National Grateful Patient Day. So it talked about there was an NFL player who had gotten injured in a game, and then there was some other stuff he had going. And when he came out of surgery and came out of, the sickness or whatever it was, he just took on a new spirit of gratefulness. And so
he established this day.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, we all should be very thankful right now to the medical community because they've been doing an excellent job during all this. And so I know a few years ago now, I had a real weird year, 2018. I had this really weird infection. And so I can actually speak to this myself. Through all of us are very appreciative, as having been patients before. We are grateful for what the medical community is doing to
Absolutely.
us, doing for us.
Yes.
And so I noticed that now we started talking about the states having their own day. I guess it's every Monday. Because I'm noticing that now.
Okay.
That here on Monday, it's National New Hampshire
Day.
New Hampshire?
I mean, like Worcestershire.
Hampshire.
I don't know.
It's Hampshire.
So is it a coincidence that New Hampshire Day and Beer Day are the same day?
It could be. I mean, we don't write these, so we don't know.
I'm going to give it a pass. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Labor Day. Today is
Yes.
Labor Day, and it is a big deal. And it is. It was first observed on September the 5th, 1882. It's always the first Monday in September. It was honored to honor workers in New York City. The observance later moved to the first Monday in September in 1884. It wasn't officially recognized by any government entity until 1885 when a municipal ordinance was passed. Interestingly enough, Oregon recognized the day in 1887. And before New York's state bill passed, and as more states recognized the observance, its popularity grew. Then in 1894, Congress declared the day to be a national observance. For all of you folks that are working to make America, roar and hum along and do the work that makes this place a great place to be, thank you. This is the day we are taking to recognize it.
So it's to recognize the laborers then.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, I thought it was just like the day you're supposed to get all your chores done.
Yeah. Well, your mom made sure that you thought that. When
Yeah.
you were growing up,
Yes.
Exactly.
You're out of school today, so now you're going to wash the car and rake the leaves and everything else. Yeah.
Today's the day you got
Cut the
labor,
grass.
Luke.
Yeah. Yeah. From its streets and its buildings, it's a lot of construction workers, steel workers.
Yeah.
That's where it has its history rooted
Right.
and things like that. So
Right. So
That
thank
makes me
you.
think of that show. I've only heard of it. That Tough as Nails show.
Yeah,
Enlighten
I
us,
watched it. I
Luke.
saw that,
So it's
yeah.
like I haven't watched it, but I keep on seeing like ads for it. And it's like they're doing like manual labor jobs, and those are like the challenges. Like they're like they put them through to do like ditch digging and like stuff like that.
That's
could be like
interesting.
dirty jobs.
Like
Yeah,
dirty
kind of like that,
jobs.
but it's a game show.
Oh, it's a game
Oh.
show.
It's a game show.
All right. Awesome.
Cool.
Here's something that's really cool from the world of science. There is a breakthrough that has happened where spinal cord injuries and dementia patients are seeing the reversal of these things. Listen to this. In all animal models, this worked. They were able to repair the spinal cord and reverse dementia or confusion and things like that in all of the animal testing across the board. And from one injection, a completely paralyzed animal was able to regenerate and walk and move from one injection for 8 weeks.
Wow.
That's a game changer.
It's a synthetic protein,
Man.
and you kind of got to go, what is all that about? If I'm in a wheelchair or if I'm in an Alzheimer's unit or whatever, and they can regenerate, I say
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm volunteering.
Right.
What an amazing thing. I know that we're always praying, for people in our country, at our church. We're praying constantly for people to, Lord, reveal yourself,
Yeah.
reveal your power, and you know what? I firmly believe that things like this is straight from, God
Yeah.
himself.
God, yeah.
Even if you say,
Absolutely.
well, they're not believers or whatever. Yeah, but some believers praying and asking for that.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely
That's right.
happening. And so that's an amazing, article that we were reading about, and it's going to be making its way into human trials and things like that. And, man, can you imagine just in another few years we'll be able to say spinal cord injuries are a thing of the past?
Man.
Yeah, and who knows what kind of superpowers you'll get from that injection, right?
Hey, it's 2020. Who knows what else gets put in there? I mean, we have people flying and seeing through walls and turning invisible.
Well, I mean, it's just crazy all the stuff they're coming up with right now. Like Elon Musk unveiled the Neuralink.
Yeah, where they tell me about that again. It's
it's a brain-computer interface.
But what was the purpose behind it? It was
to help, kind of like same thing almost. It's to bridge the gap. Like if there's something wrong with the electrical system in your brain or in your body, that it could fix that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's great times that we live in right now. Just
Absolutely.
amazing times to be able to look back on and all this. This is another, this is an industrial revolution. Second generation.
Yeah,
so
it is.
So anyway, all right. Well, listen, we got another great show planned for you today. This is our last of 3 episodes of Absolute Direction, and we got another one scheduled for next month. But this month we're going to be having we started this last Wednesday with Tina Konkin. She's a relationship expert with Relationship Lifeline, where she's encouraging us to and really helping us to take the steps in improving our marriages, our relationships, and really to get ourselves healthy to a place that we can make the right decisions for those relationships. So enjoy part 3 today. And Tina, we left off the last program talking about how we are rewriting the things that have happened to us. We're not ignoring them. We're not saying they didn't happen, but we're rewriting them in basically reframing how they affect us today.
Yes. Brent, thanks. Show number 3, imagine. We've covered a lot already, but last show I just quickly talked about the R3, which is to rewrite. And we're on point 2 right now, which is to rewrite. The first one was, of course, reveal. And the simplest way really to remember the R3 is because reveal is about yesterday. And as a Christian, I had a hard time with that. I had a hard time thinking that we had to talk about our issues of yesterday, because I grew up in a Christian home and you're supposed to move past that. And, I knew the scriptures and moving towards the high mark and leaving your past behind. And it just was such an excuse to not deal with my past. And so what I did was I ended up carrying my past into my marriage, into my parenting, and it just kept showing up. And that's what we call those triggers, and the triggers of anger and the trigger of withdrawal or addiction. And all that is because there's things in our past we have not revealed. And so really the reveal, the R1, is about yesterday. The rewrite is about today. And I think besides the fact that renew is the third one, and that's my very favorite, but the rewrite is that jumpstart. It's when you see hope, when you see light again, when you think, okay, I can get past that. So what is rewrite? Rewrite is not changing, like you said, any of the facts. The facts are part of your story.
Yeah.
But how does your story still affect you is what you want to rewrite. You want the triggers to be dealt with. You want the hardness of the heart. We talked about that in our first show. The hardness of the heart that Jesus talked about, that wrecks and causes havoc on relationships. And that hardness of the heart, much of it I brought into my marriage. And I brought it in. It wasn't Ron that gave me hardness of heart. Or vice versa. And so that's a self-examination that we need to do. But the rewrite comes through compassion. And I'll never forget, I think the simplest way to describe compassion is that compassion isn't a decision like love is. Love is a decision. Forgiveness is a decision. But compassion, Brent, is in our DNA. We were created with compassion. You can't get rid of it. They've even ignited it in hardened criminals. It's there. And sure, we can make it dormant, but it's there. And it cannot be taken out of the human soul. And so once I understood what compassion was, I needed that to forgive. And this is what compassion did for me. I knew my mom and her story, and I knew that she had rejected me as a child. As a matter of fact, I remember for years hearing the words, "You should have never been born." Okay, that's rejection on steroids. But growing up in church, I also kept hearing, if you don't forgive, God won't forgive you. If you don't forgive, then this, and how can you call yourself a Christian if you don't forgive. And so, you know how many altars I went to from childhood through teenage years, through adult years? Finally, I just thought, it's a decision. I've made the decision. But every time I saw my mom, I was the child that shouldn't have been born. So that's not forgiveness.
Yeah.
Or at least later found out that's definitely not forgiveness, because it still had pain attached to it. It still had shame. It still had that unwanted feeling, even though my mom wasn't that way anymore. But to me, it was still the same. And so I'll never forget that program I went through with the Dr. Phil team. And I said, it came to that place of forgiveness. I couldn't do it. I said, I can't do it. I've done this so many times. It just ends up making me feel condemned and shamed again. Can't do it. So that's where the program is so different. And Brent, we take you through the experience. We don't just tell you to make a decision with your head. It's got to go from the head to the heart. And I'll never forget, they said, just choose someone in the room here that kind of reminds you of your mom. So I chose this lady that, reminded me a bit of my mom, and they put her in front of me. And then they said, close your eyes. And they said, I want you to see your mom pregnant with you. And suddenly, you see, I didn't see a mom. I saw a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I didn't see my mom. See, I've been trying to forgive my mom. When I saw that 16-year-old girl, tears started coming down. My eyes were still closed. And all of a sudden, Brent, I saw this woman hugging herself, this 16-year-old girl, not a woman, hugging herself and rocking back and forth and holding her tummy and saying, God, please, not now, not now, not now. And I suddenly, in that moment, compassion came over me, every inch of me, because now I had compassion for a 16-year-old that was saying, I'm not ready to be a good mom. Mm-hmm. She wasn't rejecting me. She wasn't rejecting the baby. She didn't want the baby to be born at this time. It was timing she was rejecting. Yeah. And all of a sudden, everything made sense. All of a sudden, the story was rewritten. It was rewritten by a 16-year-old at a time of trauma. Right? And quite often when we're trying to forgive someone, we've got to go through the door. We've got to go through the lens of compassion and see them in that maybe trauma of childhood. Yeah. Where we weren't given those tools. And I know you can speak to that.
I mean, I know that when we went through the program, that was such a powerful moment for all of us, because both Jody and I have been raised in great family homes, but yet type A family homes where you kind of grow up with this idolizing these important, powerful people, and yet you don't understand what it is about you that why don't they like me? And even though that sounds crazy, because you loved being around them, it was the same exact thing for me. I had to go and remember my parents grew up with me. My parents, were 19 and 16. So I'm in the same boat you are, and Jody's mom and dad, were young as well. But then they also were on staff at a mega church, in when there really wasn't mega churches. So the pressure was there. There was all kinds of things. And when you go and we looked back on those times, it was such a breaking point for both of us to realize that a lot of who we are, we had to look and see what you were talking about, and the compassion rose up in us for them. But then it framed who we are, and we were able to really forgive each other and walk into that, and it was so powerful. I could just speak about the event forever, but I want to give people a chance to really hear. It's not just a counseling session. It's not just sitting on couches with somebody, tell me about your childhood. It's not like that. It's a very experiential learning thing, and I'll let you describe it better than me.
Well, the relationship Lifeline was birthed out of trauma in our marriage, and especially in my parenting the early years. But I think if you're willing to walk through the reveal, rewrite, and then renew, making life better than it was before, so that the goal is to get your heart healthy, take out I call them the rocks, because we didn't suddenly get filled with all this hardness of heart. It was one rock at a time that we picked up in our past, and we visit that. We do an exercise called the storyboard, and we visit that, and we start connecting dots to, oh, okay, that's what I saw and why I now have this belief system. You know, like my belief system in marriage, and I mean, it just about, like, my husband was an avoider because I was Italian, and I grew up hearing that if the dog barks, it doesn't bite. In other words, if you're loud and there's lots of noise, there's safety. When there was quiet in my home, we scattered. Somebody was in trouble, and we better be out of the way, you know? Whereas Ron grew up exactly opposite. It was a loving home, and you know, everything was calm. But when his dad raised his voice, everybody scattered, right? So he was an avoider. So I'd be screaming all the time, thinking that was safe. That's how I parented. That's how I dealt with stuff in our marriage. And if it was good, I was screaming. If it was bad, I was screaming. I was just always loud. You know, I'm still loud. But to him, that meant get out of the way, right? And so those things are what we didn't connect. You know, we couldn't connect those dots. So it was like, why are you avoiding? Like, why can't you just ever deal with anything? And then he would say things like, bring it down a little. I said, bring it down to what? And then your tone, you know, it's the tone. It's not what, because I'd look at him and say, tell me what I said wrong right now. What exactly did I say wrong? And he goes, it's not what you
so
said.
familiar right now.
Right?
You're describing me to a T. So
Yeah. And so those kind of things as couples begin, and you know, the program isn't just for couples. As you saw, there's individuals there too.
that's right.
Because each person getting healthy, the work that we do that is so individual that we realize that when we own our stuff, even if you think, you know, like Brent, you know, you're Mr. Spiritual, and you got life pretty good, you know, and you thought you had it all together. And I say to people like you, can you own 10%? Now, not people like you, because you owned a lot. But there's a lot of people that come from infidelity. But I always feel sorry for Jody, because you're
Okay.
big rough guy, you know, and you're just so intimidating. And Jody's this little thing, you know, and she's just a pleaser. And you're like a bulldog. I think it's in your name, isn't it? Bulldog.
Brent the big dog. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for
the
that.
big dog. See, I call
Appreciate
you
that.
bulldog. See how you got big dog and I put bulldog?
Yeah.
Poor little Jody over there. And but you know, that's the thing, is that you come off a certain way, and yet I know you, and I know you're a big teddy bear, and I know that, you know, you want nothing more than to help people. But when you're in a relationship and someone you already shared came from these A personality homes, that can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, you start revealing, but you guys didn't know that. You had to connect those dots, and
Yeah.
then triggers start coming up. And now you know that you can't go to Jody and just be in her face, right? So we look at people, and that's what Ron used to do to me. He'd say, that tone or the look in your face. And I think, oh, so now it's a tone and it's my look, right? So it's like you couldn't win until you discover the little boy that was yelled at.
So good.
Right? And then all of a sudden compassion comes in. I thought, I'm not your dad. But now I become sensitive.
Yeah. And by doing that, you're not, you know, I'm not responsible for what happened to Jody, but now I'm helping her in rewriting how it moves forward from there. So
and now we're using compassion.
Yeah.
And I myself now I'm saying, okay. So quite often as we were learning to walk through this, we started saying things like, hey, at the risk that my tone goes off, that's not my intention. You know, so I'd prepare, because I knew I would falter. I couldn't trust myself to, you know, things I'd done for 35 years up to that point, and now all of a sudden I was going to be all healed. No, it's a process, right?
Yeah.
So quite often though, we would say things like that, and he would say things like, okay, I'm not going to try to avoid, but this is a really bad time for this conversation. But I'm not avoiding.
So
right?
good.
And we set up a time. So there's the practicality, but the
Yeah.
3-day intensive is a real detox of all that.
And I mean, I could just as a testimonial, Jody and I, and she's sitting right here at the tech booth. It is always something that we talk about regularly of the things that we learned in those settings. And I would just tell you that, folks, the exercises, and even Tina admitted it when she was reading us the rules of the weekend. She said some of these are going to seem so dumb and not even something that you'll get anything out of. But then there's going to be some that you never see coming, and they reveal everything and unlock it for you. And it's such a tremendous tool for the toolbox to show you exactly what you're needing to know about yourself. That, man, we still go back, and again, we communicate way differently now. We still, get frustrated, and we still both, have our moments, but it's a way different way of doing things. And if you're looking to enrich or fix or rebuild or just get healthy, this is a great place to start. And if you want to find out more information about that, you can go right on the website. We're putting it up right now. It's tinakonkin.com. You can also go to Relationship Lifeline, as my relationshiplifeline.org, and you can go and absolutely grab some of the resources. I know that for a while she was doing kind of an introduction version of this intensive over the weekends. I can't remember what they were called. What was the name of that one day?
Master class is Tuesday nights. Life Matters Master's class is Tuesday nights, and it's still free. They can register right at tinakonkin.com. And we are offering a free book. The Love, Sex, and Money was our first book, and that's still a free resource. I'm still doing it during COVID here. So, they can go on there and get all kinds of still free resources.
And so there you go. You can sign up for the Tuesday night master classes at tinakonkin.com. And then if you'd like to, maybe catch up on some other things, you can go right there to Tina Konkin on YouTube and the Relationship Lifeline on Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter. She's also found at Tina Konkin. Her book is entitled How God Used the Other Woman. And man, you talk about an eyebrow-raising title. That was one of the best titles I ever heard. But How God Used the Other Woman, Saving Your Marriage After Infidelity. And I tell you what, you heard just a little bit of the story right here, but you got to buy the book to get the rest of it. And you can buy all of the books. Like she said, the one is free. You can get those right there on their website as well. So, Tina, I just want to say thanks so much for coming and being on the program for these last 3 days. It's just wonderful. We're constantly referring to you in our dealings with people in our church, but we're also sending people your way. And we just encourage everybody, reach out and get a hold of Tina if you can.
Thanks, Brent.
You're awesome. We love you. Have a great rest of your day. So as you can tell, there is a lot of great stuff there from Tina, and I encourage you to grab some of that information and grab. Let me start again. As you can tell, Tina is just full of great wisdom and great information, and it's something that Jody and I personally recommend for people who are wanting to enrich their marriage, fix their marriage, or get to a place where they're healthy in their marriage. And she's one of the best in the country, and so we're so glad that she was able to stop by and give us some absolute direction. Coming up Wednesday on the program, Jody and I are really excited to welcome a friend of ours who we just had the honor of appearing on her podcast. Our friend Hope Lamberson hosts a show called Straight Talk with Hope, and she had Jody and I on just a few weeks ago to talk about this hashtag right here, Journey Together. And so we were able to do that, and it was such a great show, and we just can't wait to have her on our program coming up Wednesday. So you'll want to tune in for that. For Jody and for Luke, another great podcast. I'm so thankful to them. I want to thank Tina Konkin for 3 incredible shows where she spoke such wisdom into the marriages of our audiences. Thank you so much for listening. We hope for those of you who are expanding your search that you took the time to stop for directions today, and we hope that you found what you were looking for. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday.
You are the light that leads the way. drawing closer to you every single day. Your life is left, I'll never be alone, 'cause you bought me with the price, called me your own. You are the strength that I need, you are the one that I see, and I will never forget the price that you have paid. Love me like you gave to me. You are my God, the one and only, and I'll follow you for all my days. With all I have, all I am, and all I do, I live for you. You are the light that leads my way, and I'm drawing closer to you every single day. Your love is life, I'll never be alone, 'cause you bought me with the price, called me your own. You are the strength that I need, you are the one that I see, and I will never forget the price that you have paid. Love it like you